Hey everyone, I just want to share a module that I did with my ESL Advanced Listening and Speaking class. Since many of our students choose business as their major, myself and my colleague Linda Flag, we decided to develop modules on entrepreneurship. So they get familiar with the business world and some vocabulary related to that. We also felt that it is important for them to do some practical application of the skills they learn in the class. So before they get to their final assignment, we introduce them to concepts of what is entrepreneurship. So they listen to a video on entrepreneurship, and we ask them to be familiar with words such as business savvy, marketable idea, startup, and so on and so forth. So once they get familiar with the idea of entrepreneurship and a startup business, we also read what is mission and vision, what's the distinction. Then they engage in a discussion of vision and mission. So this article gives an example of various companies and what vision and mission they came up with and how successful they were. Companies like Google, Tesla, Amazon, and so on. And then students discuss which company they chose, what is the difference between vision and mission. Then we found this article in the Inquirer, Philadelphia Inquirer, how this person had an accident in a lab, and that led her to start up a clothing line to protect women who work in the lab. And her vision is to expand it now to anyone who works in a lab. So they read about that, and then they had to start brainstorming ideas for their own startup business. So what they had to do was since they're ESL students, some of them are even in lower intermediate reading and writing. So we had to give them some help. So the idea was, what is the problem that you're trying to solve by starting a startup business? So we gave them some topics, like it could be travel, it could be restaurants, parenting, time management, and so on. So then they had to kind of brainstorm, what will your mission be? What will be your vision? Who will be your target audience? So they had to kind of think about it and come and share with their classmates and get some feedback. And then, of course, they had to think about what are the top 5 qualities required in a successful entrepreneur and kind of come up with vision and mission statements. Then they also listen to what is being a professional, like professionalism in a business world. What does that mean? Then they presented very informally their startup ideas. And once they got into this whole idea of a startup business plan, I posted for them a sample business plan, which was created by a former 73 student, listening speaking student. So they could look at this. It's a document created by this student. So I'm just going to share with you how creative these students become when you just kind of show them what to do. So this is what the student came up with. She came up with an indoor playground business plan, and she had all the components of a business plan. Prior to this, they also listened to a video that talked about how to create a successful business plan. And they took notes, and then their own business plan had to have all these components. And as you can see, this student has thought about every single detail. How many hours will it be opened? What kind of services will be offered? And management, ticket pricing, who are the competitors, and how the student would be marketing her idea, and so on and so forth. And they also had to make a PowerPoint before their presentation of their own business plan. And again, I shared with them a sample business plan. So once they did this, they are now comfortable and ready to share their final business plan with the class. So that was their final oral presentation where they had to expand, create their business plan, and then present their business plan to the class. So that's what they got, and the rest of the students would give them feedback. And did the business plan have all the components? Was it clear? Anything else? And they got a lot of suggestions. Why don't you do this way? That'll be more profitable, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, we took the idea and made them familiar with the vocabulary and also had a practical application. And the students were beyond thrilled that they can do this, first of all. They can be creative about this. And one person came up with the idea of having kind of a laundry service in a gym, because his plan was, well, I can set up a kiosk within the gym and people come and they have sweaty clothes and they just stick it in their bags and they go to work. Instead, I could collect them, wash them, and deliver it to them the next time when they come. So that's what he decided to offer. And he targeted a couple of gyms in the city, and he felt this could be a lucrative business. Another person talked about the travel agency, kind of where she would give packages to her clients. And someone else talked about online tutoring service, because she herself, as an ESL student, once she went home, she didn't have that available. So she felt all students might benefit from something like that. So they came up with their own wonderful ideas. And they also felt this is something that they can even try on the side if they wanted. The other aspect that I wanted to talk to you about was the service learning component in my listening speaking class, because once again, I feel that this is an opportunity for them to go into the real world and practice the skills that they learned within the classroom. So in the fall semester, I was able to collaborate with Soteria, and her students came to my class and helped my students kind of, what does it involve in a presentation in a public setting? Because our students were going to Watermark, a senior citizen facility near the college, and they were going to present on health related topics. So the way that we worked out was my students went first and interviewed the residents there and asked them what topics they would like to hear about. They compiled questions and practiced asking them. And as you can see, we even practiced how do you introduce yourselves. And then this class came up with questions to ask the senior residents. And then they went, asked them ideas, and then they decided these were the topics that they were going to present to them. So that was the preparation for the service learning. And one part of the preparation was Soteria's class, their service learning was to prepare my class students to go and present to the Watermark. So her students taught how to present in a professional way, in a professional setting, in a public setting. So that was like a triangular approach to service learning. And then they went to the facility and presented. And the students couldn't believe that they actually stood on the stage in the auditorium in this facility. And they didn't expect this. They were given mics and they were told, this is where you will be presenting. So they did an amazing job. Even the shy student who would not normally talk much, when thrown in that situation, spoke and answered questions. And they were thrilled that they had an audience to listen to, and they were asking them questions. And what is more satisfying and gratifying to these students was that they, being ELs, English learners, they were able to present something in English to someone else, and they were understood, and they asked questions, they engaged them. So that to them was really satisfying. And they had to come and reflect. So this is they had to record for me how was the experience of going to Watermark and interviewing the students, and what were the topics after the first time. And then they had to also write reflection on what they learned. So they did the service learning presentation, and they came back and they did a reflection on service learning. So that is what they did, and they, in their reflection, they indicated that they really learned a lot, and this is what they had to do. So, how did the service learning experience help with your speaking skills? How did presenting to the residents of Watermark increase your understanding of the materials you read and did their research on? Because they had really had to research for the topic. The topics ranged something from how to prevent cancer, or how to if you have prevent hearing loss, because some of the residents wanted that, or how to lead a healthy lifestyle. And how did this experience help you with your confidence in speaking in front of an audience? And will you recommend this experience in all the English 73 courses? And every one of them said, we have to do this for the students because the benefits really were wonderful. Yes, it took away 2 class periods, but I think it was worth it because they could get a real life experience of practicing their speaking skills. I don't think they would have gotten such an opportunity if not for the service learning. So that's pretty much, I want to share how a practical application of what they learn in the classroom enhances their learning.